Hello and welcome. My name is Zafar Iqbal, and you're watching the Mojo Story. We are on our continuous special coverage of the dramatic political developments that are taking place in Pakistan. We've been following the vote of no confidence that's supposed to take place today in the Pakistani National Assembly. It has not happened so far. The session started in the morning at 10 and is still underway. The parliament members have been speaking, they have been making long, winding speeches, but the voting has not actually taken place today. Now, this session was called on the intervention of the Supreme Court. Earlier on April 3, the Deputy Speaker of the House had disallowed the motion, vote of no confidence motion, and then afterwards, the Supreme Court of Pakistan took a suo moto notice of the case, and they actually reversed the series of events that took place after the motion was disallowed. Imran Khan made a speech to his country, and he advised the president to dissolve the assembly, the National Assembly, which the president did. But eventually, the Supreme Court has reinstated his government, his cabinet, and assembly has also been reinstated, and asked the speaker to conduct the no confidence voting today that was supposed to happen today. It has not happened so far. Why it has not happened? Will it happen? We'll discuss all of that. We're joined by an eminent panel from Pakistan. We're joined by Muhammad Ahmed, who's a lawyer. We're also joined uh, by Lieutenant General Raj Kadian, who's of course from India, and Asad Abbas Butt, a legal expert from Pakistan. If I can start with you, Asad Abbas Butt, what's the sense you're getting? Will the voting take place, or there will be no voting at all? It has not happened so far. The government is probably using these delaying tactics by dragging on the discussion in the House and not going to the voting. Actually, which is the reason that the session was called.
Of course, if you go by the order of the Honorable Supreme Court of Pakistan, of course, it's going to take place in the same session. But at the same time, I have to say that since the political parties, usually use their own cards to take their own interest and try to mold the things for their own benefits. So I believe that if they, are not going to face the contempt of the court, they will, of course, hold the voting proceeding in today's session. But we need to understand what does a session mean. We believe that the court didn't say that today is the last date or the last day for holding the voting. Voting has to be complete in this session. The session will not be put off. So that's why I think that the parliament is going to vote in the same session. But of course, since the parties are there and the treasury bench is trying to drag the matter in order to, convince some members who are going to vote against them, and they are also going to use some other channels for their own benefits. So that's why they are using the delaying tactics in order to take some interest in their favors.
Take place, or there will be no voting today. Perhaps it may happen tomorrow or day after, but not today exactly.
A lot of
Yeah, if you
members
can
are
unmute. Yeah.
about to deliver their speeches, and the treasury is also trying to use some other channels, and they are interpreting the decision of the honorable supreme court in their own favor. So we need to understand what does session mean. Session doesn't mean that today. Session is going to, it may be for 2 days, for 3 days, but session will not be put off. So the proceeding and the voting has to be completed in the same session, but it doesn't mean that today is the last date.
We are also joined by Kalbe Ali, who is of Daily Dawn from Islamabad. Welcome to the show. What's the sense you make of all that's happened over the last few days, and particularly today? Do you think it's heading towards voting or something else?
Well, I just differ with the Honorable Counsel sir, because the Supreme Court has also said that the session should start from the day it ended, and actually it was the seventh day, and the no confidence vote has to be conducted within 7 days. So it also means that was the seventh day, and within 7 days. So today is the seventh day of the time period given in the constitution for the vote of no confidence. But at the same time, as he also said, that the Supreme Court said that the session should not be prorogued, which means it cannot be finished off, it can only be adjourned. So usually, what this one side of the argument is that it can be adjourned. It can be adjourned after the hearings, after the proceedings of today, and for Monday tomorrow, or next after the day ends. So, but what we understand is, I mean, there is the other side of those who understand is that this is the seventh day, and it cannot, the voting cannot be extended after day seven. So, but
But
this is
but
what
what
we
but
think.
what is the sense you make? Why is the government dragging it so long? Eventually, the voting will have to take place. What do they gain by just postponing it? It can't be
Well,
postponed
this
till
is
eternity. The
this.
voting will have to take place someday.
Yeah, I understand. Even if it is after 1 month, so eventually it is quite visible that the numbers, they have lost the numbers, they have lost the trust, they have lost the support of what we call army establishment, and things are not in the right direction for the government. They have even lost some of their members. So the PTI is set to lose this no confidence vote, even if it happens 1 month from now. This is quite right. It's so obvious. It's clearly writing on the wall. But as a matter of fact, after what we have seen for the last 1 week, and especially after the draggings of today, so it is very, very, very difficult to get into the mindset of Prime Minister Imran Khan and the PTI leadership, that what do they expect out of it and how do they intend to overcome this whole scenario. They had a last chance of making that extra constitutional move, but that has been overturned by the Supreme Court. So now the only thing what we understand is, which is a bit not in the regular news sense, news matter, is that possibly it is some kind of psychological issue with the leadership of the PTI, because these people, they have been in the limelight. They are more or less like some celebrities and not usual politicians who have seen ups and downs, who see ups and downs in like we media people and most of the people, we have seen ups and downs in the whole life in our life. So these celebrities, they are not used to of facing this kind of setback in the life, so they are not really, they can't digest it. That is what,
Okay.
apart from this
Oh,
thing, there's no other.
okay. Okay. Muhammad Ahmed, if I can come to you, we have been hearing the speech of the ministers and members of the ruling party. They have been insisting that parliamentary supremacy has been compromised. As a lawyer, what's the sense that you make? Is it also to make an effort to really drive home the point that parliament is supreme, even if they are abiding by the Supreme Court direction, but parliament has its own rules of the game?
Well, there are two or three things that the government appears to be establishing at the moment. First of all, they want to establish that Parliament is supreme, as you've just said, and in the present constitutional structure, it is the Parliament which calls the shots and no other institution. All other institutions are subservient to the Constitution, and so is the Parliament. But since Parliament can legislate and since the Parliament can amend the Constitution, therefore, Parliament is supreme. Secondly, the government is clearly not very happy with the verdict which has been passed by the Honorable Supreme Court of Pakistan. They feel that there were certain things that should have been taken into account before this verdict was passed. First of all, they never expected the Supreme Court to interfere. And once that interference was made, they felt that since the government or the Supreme Court has placed Article 63 as a reference along with this petition, that should have also been decided. And thirdly, to sort of solidify my argument, I can establish by saying that a review petition has also been filed against that decision. Thirdly, and most importantly, government wants to establish that the reasons for their ouster is not a constitutional method which has been adopted. That method to madness is completely different and is ill-founded and is founded on the basis of some foreign conspiracy which is probably hatched in America, and now the opposition is siding with the Americans to sort of oust them. So these are the three or four
But
things
but
that Parliament
but
wants to
but
establish.
but is it just posturing, or there is really some backdoor backroom negotiations going on to strike some sort of a deal at this point in time? Because in the end, the voting will have to take place. They may drag it on for a day or 2 days, but the voting will have to take place.
I agree with you, and since we were discussing this in the morning as well, I completely agree that voting one way or the other will have to take place. But before that voting, it is like I'll give you an example of a cricket match. You know that you can't chase the total and your last 2 or 3 wickets, then you expect them to slog. And I think the government is slogging at the moment. They are playing left, right, and center of the stadium, and they are just trying to play it for the gallery, for their audience, because ultimately they know after this vote of no confidence, they have to go in the elections. And elections is around the corner, maybe 4 months, 5 months, 6 months down the lane. So at the moment they are in the government, they can use the government platform to convey their sentiment. They can make these fiery speeches in the parliament, which of course, let me tell you, I'm not talking about the intellectuals, but the sizable portion of Pakistan's population, the middle class and the low middle class, is in fact very happy with the way things are progressing, because Imran Khan has got a strong voting, I would say, for vote bank in this particular strata, and this strata is very happy that their captain is fighting, and they don't care if the Supreme Court is being defied, which I know is completely wrong in terms of contesting all of this. But at the end of the day, it all boils down to the electorate, because you have to get elected. And I think there is a serious competition between all three, four institutions, and everybody is trying to create space and fight the concept of separation of
Well,
power. So it is
you raised a very important point: competition between institutions. At this point in time, I would like to bring in General Qadian before we go to our other Pakistani guests. General Qadian, competition between different institutions. Is it now clear that establishment is not siding with Imran Khan, and that's one of the reasons that we are seeing the way the things are panning out in Pakistan?
Zafar, what is happening in Pakistan, India, and the rest of the world is watching with a curious interest. At the moment, India has no serious concern of what happens internally in Pakistan. Yes, we have the curious interest, but no worry, unless the problem spills over the border. Now, that is one aspect. Let me look at the larger and a positive side. Pakistan democracy is still fledgling. It's like a baby when it starts to walk, it has a number of falls. I think Pakistan is going through those moments. The no confidence motion is very much a part of the democratic process. We have had it in India. When Bajpayee in 1996 had to resign because he lost the majority by just one vote, but he had the grace of not facing the ignominy of being thrown out of the house, but he walked up to the president and he said, I am resigning. But Imran Khan, unfortunately, is a very honest man. The panelists just said that he has a constituency. When he came to power, he made very rosy promises to Pakistan that there will be honey and milk flowing on the streets, all the illegal money stashed across will come to our coffers and they'll be full. I will never go to IMF and things like this. But unfortunately, those promises have not been met. Despite that, such people create a cult figure. He's become a cult figure. That is why the panelist says that people are still supporting him to some extent, those who are committed. It has happened in the world history. Even people in India also, Ram Rahim still has a following. But that is a part. What is happening today is Imran Khan is facing a political defeat. He knows the outcome. He has lost legally. He has lost constitutionally. Only thing he could save was the honor. If he could resign, give a good speech in the parliament, then offer his resignation that, okay, I have lost the support, I go. As far as the Supreme Court is concerned, today they have taken the right legal decision. That was not the case in the past. The decisions were based on the doctrine of necessity because the army used to be involved in it. This time, mercifully, which is good for Pakistan democracy, the army has stood aside. They have shown no interest of intervening. That's why all this drama is taking place. The voting may take place today or tomorrow in the history, it won't make a difference. Ultimately, the opposition will come and fresh lot of problems will start. No government can bring back the economy unless it takes some very unpopular measures. And being a coalition government, they will not be able to. So there will be a spate of elections. I think after 4 or 5 months, they will order elections, have a caretaker prime minister who then can take strong decision because it's not dependent on the votes. But that is yet to be seen. As of today, Pakistan's time is numbered, his clock is ticking. If he leaves early with honor, perhaps it will be more graceful. If he is thrown out through ignominy, I think it is bad for him, for his political future also.
Right, but we are not sure what's going to happen there. For now the house has been again adjourned for some time, obviously because of namaz. That it's been adjourned. It will resume shortly, but time is running out. The entire day has passed, and members have been making long, winding speeches, and the voting has not taken place. But members of the ruling party really insisting and talking about parliamentary supremacy, one gets a sense that what exactly they are talking about. But it's not clear what the opposition wants. They were asking for early elections. Imran Khan had resigned. They had a chance to go for early elections. What do they gain by just going, uh, taking the reins of power for just a few months and then going for elections? Wasn't it perhaps uh, a good proposition for the opposition also to take a plunge in elections just right now? That's the one question that keeps on coming to the mind, and perhaps our Pakistani guests will have something to add to this. But before we go to that, Asad Umar, who's a prominent minister of Imran Khan government, he spoke about parliamentary speech and made a parliamentary superiority and made a speech in the parliament. This is what he had to say.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट की हमारी बड़ी इज्जत है, हमारे जमहूरी निजाम का एक बहुत अहम सतून है। 3 हिस्से हैं हमारे जमहूरी निजाम के अंदर, मुकन्ना है, अदलिया है और हमारी इंतजामिया है, हुकूमत है। इन तीनों का बड़ा अहम किरदार है। लेकिन स्पीकर साहब, हमारे आइन के अंदर बड़ा वाज़े लाइन भी खींची हुई है कि हर इदारे ने किस लाइन के अंदर रहते हुए काम करना है। आप एक कानून को, आइन को मानने वाले इंसान हैं, इसलिए आपने फैसला किया कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जो ऑर्डर लिखा आपने उसकी कंप्लायंस कर दी। लेकिन अगर वाकई में ये सब लोग मानने वाले हैं जमहूरियत के, तो पार्लियामान की सुप्रीमेसी को भी मानने वाले हैं। अगर सुप्रीम कोर्ट यह भी फैसला करेगी कि किस दिन इजलास होगा, किस मिनट पे शुरू होगा, तो इस पार्लियामान का क्या फायदा? पैसा बचाएं, इसको रैप अप करें और घर भेजते हैं। चले हम उनकी 1 मिनट के लिए बात मान लेते हैं कि जो डिप्टी स्पीकर ने फैसला किया वो अच्छा फैसला नहीं था। लेकिन क्या सुप्रीम कोर्ट में और अदलिया में तमाम फैसले अच्छे होते? क्या इसी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ पाकिस्तान के फैसलों को जुडिशियल मर्डर नहीं कहा गया?
Well, Dr. Azhar, I want to ask you, we were talking about the strategy that seems to be playing out as far as the government is concerned. They are trying to delay it as much as possible. But we're trying to understand, what does opposition give? Why are they insisting on making a government? Everybody knows it will be a government just for a couple of months or a little more than that. Eventually, they will have to go to the people and seek a fresh mandate. That opportunity was there when Imran Khan had tendered his resignation, but that has been lost because Imran Khan and his government has been reinstated by the Supreme Court. So, what's the sense that one makes out of it? I think we lost the line. Yeah.
Hello, okay.
If you can hear me, yes. If you can hear me and you heard the question, you can speak on.
Yes. I've heard your question. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Am I getting through to you?
Yes.
Okay. To your question, what PTI is doing is a very clever tactic. And what they're doing is they're doing it because to be honest, it was expected that they're probably likely to do it until Monday if they can, because on Monday, Shehbaz Sharif is going to be facing his FIA indictment in the court. As my honorable friend, legal counsel, has explained, once the session has been invited and opened and started, debates are a normal part of democracy. So they're going to use the debating to enhance their own narrative, which they have built, to which their own is reacting very forcefully. If you Twitter, the social media is extremely active. Their eye not only just on this vote, they're actually looking to build the narrative which Mr. Imran Khan, Prime Minister, has built up to now, of being a battle between truth and falsehood, haq and batil, and all that. So they continue to build that battle, and they're going to use this next 2 days to not only delay the vote, which obviously frustrates them, the opposition, which is also part of what we call like in Pakistan we call it molajat politics, which happens in India as well, and other places as well, that you're seen as a macho person who's defying somebody. So it's a heroism tactic as well. But also technically it allows them to buy one night tonight and probably tomorrow night as well, to try to do other deals, try to break the. And I'm sure they're trying to do it now. They've got 4 people to break or 5 people to break without the people going in, who are against the 19, 20 people who are. So their tactics delay this whole matter, not to avoid vote, but actually the narrative to frustrate and creation among the opposition rank, and probably try to reach on Monday. When Shehbaz Sharif will be going to the court for his.
Well, on the question of Shehbaz Sharif, I was hearing from a Pakistani commentator on a channel from Pakistan that perhaps the officer in charge has gone on leave, but I don't know. That's what I heard one of the commentators saying. But coming to the larger issue, that Imran Khan is buying time. He's already asked the people to come out and protest on Sunday. He's given many calls over the last few days, but the recent call, he spoke to his nation last night, and he told the people to come out and to protest peacefully. This is what he had to say.
तो मैं अपनी कौम को आखिर में, मेरी ज़िंदगी स्ट्रगल है, किसी ने इतनी लंबी स्ट्रगल नहीं की कि किसी ने 22 साल अपनी ज़िंदगी के नहीं गुजारे स्ट्रगल करके आखिर में कामयाब होना। तो मैं तो स्ट्रगल के ऊपर यूज्ड हूँ, मैं तो अब एक स्ट्रगल के लिए तैयार हो गया। मैंने तो अब पब्लिक में निकलना है और मैंने स्ट्रगल करनी है। मैं आज अपनी सारी कौम को कह रहा हूँ, ये इम्पोर्टेड हुकूमत जो लाने की कोशिश हो रही है, परसों संडे को आपने सब ने इशा के बाद आपने सब ने निकलना है और एक जिंदा कौम की तरह एहतजाज करना है, पुरअमन एहतजाज करना है। मैं फिर से कहता हूँ, कभी भी आपने एहतजाज में तोड़ फोड़ और कुछ तसादम नहीं करना, पुरअमन एहतजाज। लेकिन आपने बताना है कि देखिए, आपने अपनी फ्यूचर को की हिफाजत करनी है, आपने अपनी जमहूरियत, अपनी सॉवरेंटी की हिफाजत करनी है, अपनी आज़ादी की हिफाजत करनी है। ये जो बाहर से इंपोर्ट करके साजिश करके और ज़मीर ख़रीद के ये ड्रामा जो हो रहा है, आपने इसकी प्रोटेस्ट करना है। ये आपका फ़र्ज़ है। एक ज़िंदा कौम अमर बिल मारूफ पे खड़ी होती है, उससे कौम एक ज़िंदा कौम का पता चलता है लोगों को। और मैं ये भी कह दूँ आखिर में कि जो तारीख़ है वो कभी किसी को माफ़ नहीं करती। कौन क्या रोल प्ले कर रहा है, तारीख़ में हमेशा ये चीज़ें सामने आ जाती हैं। कौन से सुप्रीम कोर्ट के फ़ैसले अच्छे और कौन से इस मुल्क के लिए नुकसानदेह, ये सारी आप तारीख उठा के देख लें, सामने आ जाती। तारीख़ कभी किसी को माफ़ नहीं करती, लेकिन एक ज़िंदा कौम हमेशा अपने हकूक़ के लिए खड़ी होती है। और हमेशा आपकी सबसे बड़ी कि आपने ये ग़ुलामी नहीं कबूल करनी, एक आज़ाद कौम की तरह आपने खड़े होना है। इय्याका नअबुदु व इय्याका नस्तईन, ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह कोई खुदा नहीं अल्लाह के सिवा, ये नारों पे पाकिस्तान बना था। इसके लिए कुर्बानियाँ दी थी लोगों ने। इसलिए कुर्बानियाँ नहीं दी थी कि कोई बाहर से आके इम्पोर्टेड गवर्नमेंट ऊपर बैठा दे और हम चुप करके तमाशा देखते रहें। ये इसलिए नहीं लोगों को, इसलिए वो हिंदुस्तान में जो बेचारे मुसलमानों के ऊपर आजकल इतने बुरे हालात हैं, वो उन्होंने भी वोट दी थी पाकिस्तान के लिए। उन्होंने इसलिए नहीं दी थी कि हम आके क्या इम्पोर्टेड गवर्नमेंट के नीचे हम बैठ जाएं और हम जी हुजूरी करें और हम कहें जी हम तो बेगर्स आर नॉट चूजर्स। इसलिए नहीं पाकिस्तान बना था। तो आपने वो पाकिस्तान की ख्वाब के लिए परसों सब ने आपने निकलना है, इशा के बाद पुरअमन एहतजाज करना है। और मैं अब आपके साथ हूँगा, मैं आपके साथ पूरी स्ट्रगल करूँगा। मैं किसी सूरत तस्लीम नहीं करूँगा कि किसी किस्म की इम्पोर्टेड गवर्नमेंट इस मुल्क के ऊपर मुसल्लत की जाए।
Very interesting. The opposition used to call Imran Khan as a selected prime minister and his government as a selected government. Now he is hitting back and saying that it's going to be an imported government and he's not going to accept an imported government. And he's also saying that he will be joining the people in those protests. What's the sense that you make, Muhammad Ahmed? One also gets the sense that perhaps he's resigned to his fate. He's perhaps understood that nothing is going to happen and he will participate in those street protests here on, or that's not the case?
No, no. I think in his hearts of hearts, he's ready for the elections, and he is actually just using his political office and everything for his election campaign. I've seen the election campaign to have started since January this year. These are just small little gimmicks. I don't think so. He's very interested in remaining in power. But yes, at the same time, he's also not very keen on letting go of this power that easily. He feels this is a clear battle between institutions, I've just earlier said, and it's a battle between separation of powers, and so he's not too keen on doing that. And secondly, you asked a very pertinent question that why is the opposition so keen in remaining in power for a very short period of time? You see, you need to understand the government of Pakistan Tehreek Insaf had passed some very serious amendments to various laws. I'll give you three or four examples. First of all, national accountability law was revamped. Secondly, electronic voting machines were introduced. And thirdly, and most importantly, by the Pakistan Tehreek Insaf, there are ongoing trials which are going on against Mr. Shehbaz Sharif and many other politicians. So all of these, if Parliament, if they get into power, they will be in a position to become very instrumental as far as manipulating these actions are concerned. So they will mellow down the effects of all three or four laws, and by that time they will announce elections. So then, of course, and one very important aspect is that the interim prime minister has to be appointed by what do you call the prime minister and the leader of the opposition. But prime minister has a greater say. So if the prime minister is from the opposition side, then of course there will be a greater say in appointing the interim prime minister, who's of course very influential when it comes to conducting the elections. We may agree or may not agree with that, but all of these factors lead to the fact that why the opposition is so bent on governing for the next 4 or 5 months. So yes, I think Imran Khan is all prepared for the elections. These are all gimmicks that he's doing for the elections so that he's become more popular, more relevant, and people of Pakistan have more faith in him. And he also needs to dispel that selectors tag that was associated with him. So he can only do so by doing all what he's doing right now. I may not agree with that as a student of constitutional law, but yes, he's also a politician, so he has to look at it from a political angle.
Asad Abbas, but do you think that is the sole strategy, or you read more between the lines?
I partially agree with what my colleague Ahmed Mansuta said. But at the same time, I think that he's also looking on the other sides. I think apart from the public support he's going to have in the next election, he's also disclosing the different flaws which have been in any other country like we have in Pakistan, in the political sense or in the constitutional sense. So also highlighting and seeking some time to, bring on the surface all the flaws which our system is having. So he's showing that how other, the foreign factors are involving in our country, or other things which are influencing. So the more time he seeks, the more time he has, he is more in a position to disclose all these things to the public at large and gain some support from there. But at the same time, he's also getting some bad things on his name, that some other sector or other sector is also believing that he's not complying with the order of the Supreme Court, so he's going to face some sort of contempt petition. So I think the argument may be on both sides, but of course, the Prime Minister believes that the more time he would have, he would be in a position to bring some more power from the streets and some other people who are looking at the movement, which is very important at this time.
Well, he has built a narrative on this foreign conspiracy theory, but clearly he has also frustrated the opposition who are really wanting the vote to take place. They have been there sitting all through the day in the house, and the voting has not happened. It's still not taking place, and now they're saying that they will not go till the voting takes place. In fact, we have the soundbite of Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. This is what he had to say.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। जनाब स्पीकर, आप इस वक्त ना सिर्फ तौहीन अदालत कर रहे हो, मगर आइन शिकनी भी बेखुद मुलविस हो रहे हो। अदालत ने 5 रुकनी बेंच ने ऑर्डर सुनाया, और आज हमने इसी ऑर्डर ऑफ द डे के अलावा किसी एजेंडा आइटम को आप नहीं उठा सकते थे, मगर ना सिर्फ आपने ये किया, मगर आपसे पहले स्पीकर साहब से किया। 3 अप्रैल पे इनके वजीर ने सिर्फ वजीर आजम पाकिस्तान, सदर पाकिस्तान और डेप्यूटी स्पीकर में को आइन शिकनी में फंसा दिया था। आज का ये कोशिश की वजह से ना सिर्फ वो लोग, मगर स्पीकर नेशनल असेंबली और आप खुद इन जराइम में आप मुलव्विस हो। मैं आपसे मैं मुकम्मल करूंगा।
बिलावल भुट्टो साहब,
आपसे मुतालबा करता हूं,
कोर्ट का एहतराम हम पे लाजिम है, लेकिन कोर्ट पार्लियामेंट के डोमेन में इंटरवीन नहीं कर सकता, और पार्लियामेंट कोर्ट
माजी में
डोमेन में इंटरवीन नहीं कर सकता। एजेंडा जो है वो बेसिकली स्पीकर का और नेशनल असेंबली का, गवर्नमेंट का होता है, लेकिन हमने ट्रू स्पीड के साथ इसको माना है।
ये फैसला किया, आपको पाबंद किया, और आप तौहीन अदालत करते हुए खुद भी नाअहल होंगे। ये पाकिस्तान की तारीख में पहली बार नहीं है कि स्पीकर का रूलिंग को अदालत ने बाहर फेंका है। आपसे पहले भी एक स्पीकर साहिबा उसी कुर्सी पर बैठी थी, उसने एक फैसला सुनाया और आज खुद नोटिस लेते हुए उस फैसला को साइड कर दिया। एक बार फिर ये हिदायत आया है, ये हुक्म आया है, अदालत ने ये फैसला सुना दिया है कि आपने आज 3 अप्रैल का कार्रवाई मुकम्मल करना है, वोटिंग करना है। आपका कप्तान भाग रहा है, भागते भागते तौहीन अदालत कर रहा है, भागते भागते आइन शिकनी कर रहे हैं।
Strong words from Bilawal Bhutto, Kalbe Ali. Clearly, opposition seems to be frustrated. They just want the voting to take place. Yes, if you can unmute. Yeah.
Yes. It's quite correct. You are right. And it's obvious. Whatever brought them together, whether it was the military establishment or the conditions or the economic conditions, I mean, I differ with some of the speakers, but the food inflation, especially food inflation, is quite troubling for the people in the urban areas, the middle class. It is not so serious in the rural areas because there the people don't have to buy everything. But in urban areas, now for the first time in history, Pakistan is facing gas shortage in summers, in these months, we never had gas shortage in summer. So things are not right. Whatever brought the opposition together, that's what I am repeating. Maybe it was the military establishment, or because of the issues between what we heard about General Faz when he was DGISI, or there is some other kind of reason that they decided to remove him before he completes his term, so that he may not take advantage of doing something good, or taking advantage of being in the government during the last months before the elections, whatever. But the thing is, they are frustrated, and the way the government is moving, it could lead to what many people fear. I too, that this could lead to bringing in the army, martial law, or imposing emergency in the country, because Pakistan has faced such kind of situations in the past too. When the martial law, Zia-ul-Haq's martial law was imposed, the condition was quite similar. There was a stalemate kind of thing, and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto could have, if we would have taken one or two steps back and giving some more space to the opposition, things might not have resulted in what the result, that 10 or 11 years of martial law that we witnessed. So this is a serious condition.
Very important point you have raised, General Qadian. What is the possibility of a martial law in Pakistan at this point?
Well, Zafar, in case there is instability, I agree with Mr. Ali, there is history of it in Pakistan. From 1956 to 1958, there was so much of instability that there were 4 prime ministers during that 2 years. When Ayub Khan came in October 1958, imposed the martial law, people actually felt relieved. So Imran is on way to creating similar conditions by defying every constitutional, every legal authority. He has been speaking to the nation almost every third day in the last couple of weeks. Appropriately, democratically, and morally, he should have given those lectures in the assembly hall, where also the public is watching, but there he could be questioned. So very fact that he's running away from the house, even today he's not inside the house, and passing these one-sided moral homilies to the public is a sign that he wants to create unrest, calling the public on the streets, although saying be peaceful. He also knows that knowing the Pakistan polity, knowing a fair amount of radicalization, nothing will remain peaceful. Maybe that is what he wants. But I think he has lost a legal, political, constitutional, and also moral right to stay in power. The earlier he goes, better it is for him. In politics, your career is never finished. Loss and win is ordinary. Pakistan has many examples. People have been defeated, they have come back. He could also come back, but he is himself reducing those chances of his return by these antics. He is not facing the parliament. He hasn't come for the last many days. So whatever he is telling the public, let him take through the parliament. That is the correct democratic step. After the no confidence motion has been moved in the House, he had no moral right as a prime minister to utter these homilies. I mean, there's alleged letter of conspiracy. Why is it that whole thing happened only after the no confidence was moved? Nothing was ever mentioned about this. So that also reduces the credibility. I am not saying that America is a holy cow, they don't do this, and they may be doing. But in this case, the evidence suggests that the allegation is not very credible. So earlier, Pakistan and the PTI, the longer he says, he himself admits that apart from him, every other politician is corrupt. So he is permitting horse trading. Maybe PTI will buy some more of their estranged legislators over the weekend, and he will prove majority. But then he would have lost the moral authority in the mind of any average Pakistani. That should happen. That he has manipulated. He has not really won the support of his own party men. He himself is very honest. Nobody disputes that. But for a prime minister, personal honesty is not the only requirement. He also has to ensure institutional honesty. What did he do in Punjab? He brought in a chief minister who was known to be highly corrupt. In fact, he did so on the recommendation of his wife. So that is not
So,
honesty.
so clearly,
So,
there's a lot of uncertainty in Pakistan. We don't know what's going to happen. Well, will the vote of no confidence actually take place, and when will it take place? Will it take place tonight? Will it take place in a couple of days? We don't know. Tomorrow might be a holiday. Tomorrow is a Sunday, but Prime Minister has called the people to come out, and he will obviously make another speech tomorrow. One thing is for sure, that people in Pakistan must be in a state of uncertainty, and they would be wanting this uncertainty to go. One would assume that. That would be very clear assumption to make at this point in time. Thanks to our panelists for joining us. That's all we have in tonight's show. Thanks so much for watching.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.